Hello and welcome to The Neutral Voice. I am Samung Deperma, and in this podcast, we have reflective conversations on neutrality, leadership, and how unresolved tensions, often long before they are named, quietly shape decisions and outcomes. Today's conversation explores something leaders rarely calculate explicitly: the opportunity costs of unresolved tension. To reflect on this, I am joined by Rajesh Bisaria, an international arbitrator and mediator, empaneled with multiple leading arbitration institutions and international organizations. His work spans complex infrastructure, commercial, and institutional contexts shaped by engineering, legal, and managerial perspectives. Mr. Bisaria, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
To begin, I would like to ask you from your experience, what are the first signs that tension is building in an organization even before anyone calls it a conflict?
See, the moment you will find lots of indications that shows that the tension has started. Like one is in your organization or the person to whom you are dealing with, there is miscommunication. Is the meetings are not held properly. Then the people are avoiding meeting. There is no field verifications, joint field verifications. Then the staff itself is talking here and there and not ready to take the responsibilities on the previously the persons who are ready to take the opportunities or the this thing, they are also going back because of some or the other reasons which is undergoing the organization. So these are the indications which the leader should understand that yes, something is going wrong. So he should take the mitigation measures so that the things should be aligned in a proper shape.
Thank you. So, following to what you have said, I would like to ask this question that when tensions remain unresolved,
Mhm.
how do they actually begin to influence everyday leadership decisions?
See, if the tensions are unresolved, then the things will be boiling,
Hmm.
but they will not be seen on the surface. They will be simmering. So you will not find them on the surface, but inside the surface you have lots of problems. So to understand the problem, you have to be involved with the organization or the claimant, the other party, contractor, you can say, the supplier, you can say, because to whom you are dealing, they should be comfortable and you should understand their problems. You should understand their internal feelings that they have put lot of money there and you are not understanding. So it is always advisable to a leader to understand the things from the perspective of the other party. So
Okay.
until unless you go ahead with that, so then only you will find that he is put in so much of funds there, and because of the uh, stacking, many hindrances are there, and they are not being addressed properly. Properly, apart from properly, timely. That is more important because addresses are to be addressed timely. Then you can save lot of hidden expenses. So that's there.
Okay. Okay. So, as you have mentioned, one of the things is to actually understand the perspective of the other party, and
Yes.
secondly, to address the issue timely.
Yes.
Now, it happens commonly that, like you said, internally things are boiling,
Mhm.
tensions are rising, but the issues are not addressed timely. So, what happens, or what does this do to the confidence of people who are actually waiting for those decisions?
See, most of the time we have seen that the leaders are busy in management only.
Mm.
Management means they are into solving the problems less, and they are into management more. If they go for resolving the issues, it takes around 25% of their whole day time to understand and to resolve the things. So they should understand where is the problem. They should deep go into the system. They should read the faces. What is the body language of a person? That is also there. You should not be only a manager. You are being addressing lots of problem, and that is the only reason that your company is advancing towards a goal. So
Mhm.
you should be little bit comfortable with the staff. You can ask, so what is going on? Let's have discuss. You should rather than saying that something is going wrong, you should fix up. Rather than saying this, we should say no. Let's find out the problem jointly, so that we
Mm.
can address it properly. Confidence of the, because of the underlying tensions, the confidence of the both the parties, they day by day diminishes.
Mhm.
And if you start building the confidence, I'm sure 80% of the problem will be solved. And apart from that, decisions which are to be taken timely, that is very important. Because in I have gone almost given 77 judgments right now, awards, and I have seen that the decision of field verification, then land acquisition, then environmental clearance. They are so much of pending. Even the coordination between two departments, like the my pipeline is going towards the through the national highway, so one has to coordinate with the national highway authorities. So that coordination is also missing. So you have to think from the perspective of the contractor, that you have to facilitate him. Then only their success story will come. And it's not the success story of the contractor that he is earning. It's the success story of the department also. It's a
Mhm.
win-win situation for both the people.
That's very insightful. I mean, it's not just the issue of time, but also, like you say, there's a gap
Yeah,
between the parties,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which, yeah, needs to be
And it should not
addressed.
deepen. You should try to minimize it rather than going more deep and deep. The things will become worst.
Yes,
We say na that you should see the problem is fluid, then it's okay. Agar if it will settle down, solidify, then it's very difficult to resolve it.
yes. That's a good analogy to describe the situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then, having talked about the confidence of the people who are waiting for those decisions,
Mhm.
there comes a cost. So, from your years of experience, have you seen situations where on the outside nothing visibly failed, but progress of the work slowed down because these underlying tensions were not addressed or not fully addressed?
There are so many hidden problems which are not being addressed by the department or the leaders, and because of that the contractor or the other party faces the loss of profit, then unutilization of machineries. So there are any construction project you will find, it's a very common practice that opportunity of applying other tenders, participating in another tenders, because he doesn't have that much of, if he is fixed up with three tenders and he has the capacity of carrying out the three works, so he can't participate in the fourth one. If he could have been completed the third work in due course of time, then he could have applied other also. So the opportunity of participating the other tenders is also being lost by the department. So that factors you have to consider. It's not only the tensions being resolved, it is the hidden cost which has to be paid. See, everybody is thinking that yes, we have to resolve it. But meticulously, if you are really understanding the problem, then you can do it. Otherwise, it's not practically possible, because he is losing everywhere. And apart from that, the confidence of their staff is also losing. If you are delayed a project by 2 years, so
Yeah.
ultimately everything is put in on stack, and his future planning is also being not met. That's the way.
So, as you said, I mean, the cost itself is very detrimental. It's not in terms of finance itself, but like you said, the confidence of the people itself is a very heavy loss
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that sense.
yeah, yeah.
Besides all these losses that you have shared us about, besides that, how does this unresolved conflict, also quietly consume a leader's time and attention, even when it is not openly discussed?
See, leaders have to waste a lot of time and energy in resolving all these issues. And as I already told, around 25% it's a study I have read somewhere. 25% of the energy is being wasted every day in resolving the non issues, non
Yes.
issues, you can say. But if they that time is properly utilized and they can resolve the problems in time, then they have the other opportunities to work. They can focus on other projects, they can focus on some other timeline of the other assignments, because time is 24 hours. You have to utilize. If you are wasting 4 hours in here and there, then you can't do it. You have to manage your this thing. So the time is lost in very badly.
Okay.
And apart from time, the energy is also wasted. That's true.
Yes.
One
Yeah.
more
So,
thing
like
I would
you.
like to say, that if the decisions are being taken timely, then you can start earning the revenue from that project.
Okay.
Like in water supply projects, I have been there, so I have seen that delay of 2 years in a water supply projects. If you would have completed it, it's for the ADB project. If it would have been completed in time, then everybody would have taken the water connections, and revenue would have raised to whatever quantum is there. Like highway projects, if the highway road is started commissioning, then the toll tax will start collecting the toll taxes. So timely completion of the time, you are only seeing the arbitration cost. If you are spending 50 crores, 50 lakhs rupees in arbitration cost, on the contrary, you are losing a revenue of 5 crores. Again,
That's a massive loss.
yeah, 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 it's a massive thing. So that has to be always be taken into consideration.
Yes. So, what kind of work or thinking usually suffers first when attention is stretched this way? Or, in other words, what I mean to ask is that when these conflicts are not being resolved timely, or at least even not discussed openly, what are the works or what kind of work or thinking that is affected first and foremost in a project?
See, first and the foremost thing is that the moment you are delaying the project, the cost of the project will increase. And
Yes.
apart from the whatever I have said about the contractor loss of profit, and that is
Okay.
always there. But if you think in terms of contract, then the cost of the project will increase. In terms of escalation, you have to pay the escalation, increase in cost of cement, increase in cost of material, increase in cost of labor, everything. So you have to give escalation. Therefore, the project which is amounting rupees 200 crores, that will go to 300 or 350 crores, depending upon the delay. So
Yeah.
the ultimately, if you are funding the project, if you have as planning that I have to spend 200 crores in this project, and suddenly it went to 350, so it will not work. It's not a matter of one project. It's a thousand projects are going on. So if it will not be addressed timely, And apart from that, as we discuss it with respect to the arbitration scenario, see, arbitrator is giving the award as per the
Yes.
Arbitration and Conciliation Act. Now 2 years has been given, 6 months for the pleading and 1.5 years for the maximum 2 years they have to give the award. But apart from the award, sometimes they I have seen lot of cases. I have also done cases also where the parties are unable to submit the documents in time, thereby increasing the cost of arbitration. And even otherwise, after the award has been published, it goes to the Supreme Court, High Court for setting
Mhm.
aside the award. So that again takes 1 year or 2 year. So that interest part is increasing, total cost of project is increasing, everything is being put in to trouble. So that has to be taken care.
Okay. Thank you. That's very insightful coming from your years of experience. In this podcast series, we try to speak about the theme of neutrality, especially in this professional work. So, from your point of view, as well as from your wealth of experience, if leaders adopted a neutral way of seeing earlier, what kinds of problem could they prevent?
You mean to say how to prevent?
I would rephrase this question. If
It was
leaders,
voice.
yeah, yes, huh. If leaders adopted a neutral approach, a neutral way of looking at the conflicts, the tensions, what other problems could be prevented?
See, if the leaders are doing religiously their work with the proper neutrality, then the most of the problem will be resolved. We can't say because the attitude of the leader is to go safely, do whatever with the safe. Don't take the risk of jumping into some other decision. Maybe it will create problem to him afterwards. So everybody, it's a very common practice in India. I have seen the officers and the departments, wherever the work is going on, they are very casual in doing their work because they want to be safe. So if they become neutral and very judicially do their job timely, definitely everything will come down to with respect to the cost of the project, in terms of the confidence of the contractor, because they sometimes you have I have seen many places, sir, I will not work in this department. I have a very bad experience. I will never participate in this tender. So sometimes the department, this fame, you can say a bad fame, or that goes everywhere. So that's there. Though one should always be judicially do their job and neutral, without any expectations and without any this, so that it can be done properly.
Thank you. So, in conclusion, in your role as an arbitrator, now that let's say that the conflicts are already there, the leaders have failed to control or lessen the conflict. In your role as an arbitrator, how would you play the role of a neutral? And
See,
what have you witnessed in your years of experience?
See, in my last so many years of experience publishing 77 awards till date, I have seen that sometimes the approach of the department is very casual, and that's why the lot of hindrances and lot of problems are created. And sometimes the documentation is also not proper, because arbitration is all about the four corners of the agreement. It's not like a civil code that we will see this and that. We have to read between the four corners of the contract agreement. So that has to be documented proper. And my experience is that few of the claims which are like extension of time, like delay in payment, they are always in every project you will find. It's a very common. It shows that the pupil or the leaders are not serious regarding these aspects of the arbitration. And as far as the arbitration is concerned, we should do it with full ethics and with full confidence, without judging that we have to favor this or we have to favor this. If you find anything which is not even written in their arguments, and you find that it's your experiences says that no, no, this is not right, yeah, this is wrong, so you should judicially act accordingly and take the decision, because you have been placed at such a place that everybody is seeing towards you, and justice, in the interest of justice, they are very confident that yes, they will get the justice, because if you can't give the justice, there is no point in going to the arbitration. Don't work as an arbitration, because I used to study, and even after the publishing and writing the awards, I used to read 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Something should not go wrong, so that it's a matter of somebody's life and death also. Because sometimes they have terminated the contract, now you have to see into that. They have put the damages, liquidated damages, up to the tune of say 20 crores, 10 crores. So it's a very this thing, though, you have to be very considerate in understanding the both parts, both the parties you have to understand, and take the decision without any favorism to anybody. That's my contention.
Thank you. So, the audience of our podcast comprised of many experienced and senior professionals, as well as young professionals, including young lawyers and those who are in the ADR field. But it is our belief that the subject of neutrality is something which is not to be confined to a particular profession, but everyone can adopt neutrality in their whichever profession they're working in. So, if there's one piece of advice that you would like to give, especially for the aspiring professionals who want to adopt neutrality into their work, what would be that one piece of advice that you would like to give?
I would like to advise all youngsters and all the professionals who are into this, because if you go deeply into the contracts, okay, if you read a contract once, you will not understand. You have to read so many times, because the I have seen that the leaders who are not taking the decisions, it is one of the most important reason behind it is that they doesn't have that much of knowledge, and whatever is being forwarded to them, they are taking decision. If they themselves dive deep into the system and understand what is the consequences of this clause, so I advise all my friends to deeply dive into the contract and all the other acts like Interest Act, Evidence Act, Contract Acts, for whatever the prevailing acts are going on. You should deeply involved into it, so that the knowledge, you should have sufficient knowledge, good knowledge. Then only you can debate. Otherwise, not possible. Copy, cut, paste. It's not serve you for a longer period.
Yeah, definitely. So, thank you for all these reflections.
Thank you.
What emerges from this conversation is not only the cost of unresolved conflict, but the quieter cost of what leaders stop noticing, or stop prioritizing, or stop protecting when neutral perspective enters too late. As you said, neutrality here is not about stepping away from responsibility. It is to be informed that can lead to better decisions and quicker decisions. So it is, as the theme that we have talked about in this podcast, it is about seeing earlier before delays harden, before attention fragments, and before opportunity quietly slips away and becomes costly. Thank you, Mr. Bisaria, for
Thank you very much.
sharing your perspective so thoughtfully.
Thank you very much.
And to all our listeners, this has been the Neutral Voice.
Thank you for giving the opportunity.